Welcome back to my recovery series post double hip replacement surgery. Weeks 7 and 8 have been all about steady progress and staying patient. After going over some quick highlights, I will share all the details of what we've worked in rehab over the past 2 weeks. Since the start of week 7, I'm officially off anticoagulant meds and started driving again without any issues. My left scar is finally closing up completely after 8 weeks. That one took its time. Strength training is going well. I've been adding more intensity to my upper body workouts, while my leg sessions are still focused on rehab exercises to improve my overall lower body mobility and low intensity strength training. I've now completed 14 physical therapy sessions, and lately we've been focusing a lot on the spine. The goal has been to improve lumbar and thoracic mobility and strengthen my lower back, especially the left side since it's noticeably weaker than the right. I had my follow-up with my surgeon and got new x-rays done. Everything looks perfect. The bone is fusing well with the metal, which I'm super thrilled about. The key now is to protect this process until the end of week 12. So I'm still avoiding heavy squats or lunges and anything that involves hip rotation or jumping. My surgeon actually recommends I avoid squats and lunges altogether, which my PT and I find a bit extreme, especially since reintroducing lower body resistance work is part of the typical rehab process. I get it. My surgeon knows I'm an overachiever and just wants to make sure I don't overdo it. But my PT and I agree we've been very cautious throughout the recovery process, and I've been taking things one step at a time, which is why the x-rays look the way they look. So for now, it's all about maintaining progress, letting the bone fully fuse, and staying patient for these last few weeks before I can start loading more and getting back to running and jumping. In short, I've got confirmation that my bone is healing properly. I'm seeing consistent improvements in mobility and strength, and I'm experiencing less pain every week when flexing my hip. Now, let's have a look at what we did in physical therapy. The past 2 weeks, we've added some strengthening exercises for the lower back and to target every angle of the hips. Starting with kneeling lateral planks with straight leg abduction. That one is a real burner for the glutes while working the obliques. And also some lateral kneeling hip dips while keeping the opposite leg up. Not as challenging, but still a great move. On the Swiss ball, we did some hamstring curls, fairly easy exercise. Bridges with full extension of the hip, love those to engage the glutes. And alternated leg lifts, which are super challenging on the hamstrings and lower back. Miguel also had me try this variation, which was even more demanding on the lower back. Putting my hands on the floor made it easier, but I gotta say it was still a challenge. It really gets that lower back working. We've kept working on strengthening my hip flexors with this drill. I was eventually able to do it with a light resistance band around my feet, but unfortunately didn't record it. Before I could do the exercise you just saw, this one was my go-to to work my hip flexors isometrically. It feels easier than doing it standing with the band. Again, this is the strengthening work I've been doing twice a week in PT and a couple more times on my own. On my weekly leg day, I'm still doing 3 to 5 sets of 15 to 20 reps of the following machines. We've got the leg press, leg extension, leg curl, hip abductor when we push the legs out, and hip adductor when we pull them in. All with very light loads, and I'm also still doing a couple sets of split squats and lateral lunges. And to improve my lower body and spine mobility, we pushed it to the next level with the following exercises. Miguel had me doing some hip cars with the goal of keeping my back from moving. Super challenging, but great to open up the hips. To help with spine mobility, I've been doing cat-cows, and also a variation where I add side bending, which really pushes the end ranges of the hip. This one is a combination of an adductor stretch with cat-cows. Although not the easiest exercise, it gives a great stretch to the adductors and also opens up the hips and loosens the spine. I look much better doing those now than pre-surgery. I'm still doing this supine hamstring stretch, It's typically the first mobility exercise I start with. This is another great one to stretch the hamstring. I start by engaging both my hamstrings by pushing against the support and the floor for about 5 seconds. Then I squeeze my bottom leg quadriceps but keep the leg down and engage my top hip flexor. That allows me to repeat the cycle but with a little more stretch every time. For hip external rotation, I use the same technique. I engage my adductors first by pushing against my hand for 5 seconds, relax, and then engage my glutes to get into more external rotation. And going back to hamstring mobility, Miguel introduced me to this variation where I have to keep my legs locked out, no knee bend, and hinge as much as possible while keeping a neutral spine. I finished the movement by adding rotation, and I have to say, this is becoming my favorite exercise for hamstring mobility. I've seen a big difference in mobility since doing these. For thoracic mobility, he had me bridge on the Swiss ball while holding a support and slowly lower my hips. This will stretch your thoracic spine, lats, and shoulders. Feels amazing. And lastly, I've also been adding these rotations to improve thoracic mobility. It used to be a go-to of mine, and for some reason I stopped doing it, but it's back now. I hope this can help anyone going through the same process. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next recap.